Shows Norm McDonald, Charlie Rocket Man, and Buck Henry at the Weekend Doug Update News Studio desk. McDonald, good evening. I'm Norm McDonald. Rocket Man, I'm Charlie Redacted. Henry, and I'm Buck Henry. And here's the fake news. McDonald, it's been nearly 8 years since Massachusetts teen Conrad Roy died by suicide. Rest in peace. While his girlfriend, Michelle Carter, then 17, urged him along through increasingly disturbing text messages. Carter has landed on her feet, however, as she sells rope at a sex store for those who want to David Carradine themselves. Rocket Man. Slain Florida mom Cassie Carley, rest in peace, out of concern for her safety, had been planning to apply for a concealed carry permit before her death. Unfortunately, she was shot in the head by David Hogg before she could do so. Henry, there's been talk of remaking the movie Airplane. Since Leslie Nielsen is deceased, rest in peace, the director is looking for someone to replace Leslie, particularly the part where he was slapping a frantic woman to calm her down. They then watched the Oscars and cast Will Smith in the role. McDonald, Americans will have another 5-month reprieve from federal student loan payments, President Joe Biden announced Wednesday. Here to talk about that issue is Greg Giraldo. Greg? Giraldo. Thanks, Norm. I'm dead and my estate is still paying that shit off. Anyway, our society has skewed reality by making everyone believe they have to go to college to be successful. Not the case. You have to go to grad school to be successful, but you have to go to college so your job prospects go beyond McDonald's. So all these people are borrowing money with interest from the government, so you become a debt slave to the government just so you can move on from flipping burgers and spitting in assholes' food. But the real issue is all the money college costs. It's a fucking joke. All these families have pressure on them to get their kids into, quote, good schools where the tuition per year is well above $20,000, plus the room and board for all these kids trying to escape their parents so they can morph into alcoholic drug addicts. When really, there's no reason today that all college material can't be put on Zoom and that kids can't get a bachelor levels education in much less time for much less money. The system is disgusting. It's a system that we're told you need, but then they rob you blind. And for those kids whose mommy and daddies aren't millionaires, they have to go into debt for decades so that some goofy biased professor can give whatever grade they want to whomever they want, as they're too busy looking to seduce naive co-eds. McDonald, what can we do? Geraldo, eventually some sort of University of Phoenix type system will really catch fire and hopefully force these colleges to significantly lower their tuition, perhaps by paying less to all these professors who are banging women younger than their daughters. But until then, if the government wants the millennials to provide more for the economy, they can start by canceling that debt and finally leaving my state alone. McDonald, Greg Giraldo, everybody. Rocket Man, the U.S. announced new sanctions today on Russian financial institutions, as well as some people, including Russian President Vladimir Putin's adult daughters. Putin's daughters are still allowed to be whores, but are no longer able to defecate or urinate on their clients. Henry, President Volodymyr Zelensky asked, what is the point of the UN if it can't act against crimes against humanity and punish the perpetrators? The UN then explained that its point was to further Western business interests, specifically McDonald's. McDonald's, over 50 served in Estonia. McDonald's, baseball is set to begin this week, and for the first time in almost 2 decades, baseball players won't be tested for steroids. In other news, Barry Bonds has announced he's coming out of retirement. Rocket Man. The NBA is winding down its regular season, with the playoffs soon to start. Now to give us a taste is former Chicago Bull, Norm Van Leer. Norm? Van Leer. Now thanks, Mr. Houston Rocket. Now I can't wait for the NBA playoffs to start. 48 minutes of intensity really picks up when the playoffs roll around. Rocket Man, so do you think your Chicago Bulls stand a chance? Van Leer, well, man, DeMar DeRozan, of course, is doing one hell of a Kobe Bryant impression. Rest in peace. So I'll tell you that right now, of course they got a great chance. Okay, but the East is tough, man. You got that Greek freak in Milwaukee to deal with. Lord have mercy with him. Rocket Man. When you say Greek freak, you're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, Van Leer. I don't know how to say that motherfucker's name either. Okay, but boy, can he play. Okay? But I just stick with the Greek freak. Rocket Man. So if not the Bulls, who else will you be pulling for? Van Leer. I gotta go with my man CP3, Chris Paul. Now this cat reminds me of how I played. Undersized, intense as hell, great defensive player, and kind of an asshole. Rocket Man. An asshole? Van Leer. Damn right. If you want to win, you can't be soft and happy to be where you're at. You gotta keep fighting and clawing. And my man Chris, he comes so close last year, and he's currently the most accomplished player in the game without a ring, so I want to see him get what he deserves. Rocket Man. Well, how about Russell Westbrook? Van Leer. I love Westbrook too, man. Mr. Triple-Double. But he's on the Lakers. Rocket Man. Do you not like the Lakers? Van Leer. LeBron's already got 4 rings, and some people have the audacity to put him in front of MJ. So I'm not looking for him to be adding any more jewelry. I respect the man, but man, I don't want to see Jordan get pissed. Last time he got pissed, he went and played baseball for 2 years. Okay, and I don't want his balls shrinking. Rocket Man. I'm sorry? Van Leer. A baseball is smaller than a basketball, man. Don't read into it any more than that. Rocket Man. Norm Van Leer, everybody. Henry. Tom Brady decided to come back to the NFL for the 2022 season. Now joining us to discuss that issue is former NFL head coach Bill Walsh. Walsh. Thanks for having me, Buck. Henry. So what are your thoughts on Brady retiring and rejoining the NFL? Walsh. Well, I'll say if I had any idea that he would have been available, I wouldn't have quit coaching. I retired after the 1988 season, having won 3 Super Bowls. I used to be proud of that, until I realized Brady has won more than that since he turned 36. It's incredible, really. Henry. So would you have done anything differently? Walsh. Well, I wish I would have taken just some time off and kept myself alive and then gotten to coach Brady. I could have 10 Super Bowls by now. I mean, I won 102 games in 10 years with the 49ers. Since Tom turned 37, he has won 112 games and 3 Super Bowls. It's insane. Henry, would you be worried about motivation or age with Tom at 45? Walsh. Well, it worked with Montana when we brought in Steve Young as backup quarterback. So we'd have to bring in some competition. Maybe have Patrick Mahomes come in as the backup QB. And other than that, live from Tom's phone, we're not alive. It's Saturday Night Live, starring an ever-evolving cast that is unionized and refuses to allow their names to be mentioned until their demands are met. Musical guest, Barry White, and your host, Johnny Red Kerr. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Red Kerr. Applause, applause, applause. Kerr, thank you. I'm happy to be here, knowing the producer is a Bulls fan. I was the Chicago Bulls' first coach and took them to the playoffs in their expansion first season and won Coach of the Year honors. Applause, applause, applause. Later on, I was the Bulls' color commentator throughout Michael Jordan's tenure on the Chicago Bulls. And as much as I'd like to stand here and talk about myself, man, the best professional joy of my life by far was getting to call games with the best basketball player of all time playing in those games. You couldn't ask for anything better. Jerry Sloan, Norm Van Leer, Jack Haley, and Bison Dele come out. Applause, applause, applause. Kerr. Hey, fellas. Looks like we almost got a starting lineup of former Bulls to go against Red Auerbach's dead Celtics. But I made an acquisition this morning. Kobe Bryant comes out. Applause, applause, applause. Kerr. All right, fellas, say hello to your newest teammate, Kobe Bryant. Kobe puts on a 24 Bulls jersey and says, "Let's go kick the Celtics' ass." Kerr. Well, we have our MJ clone. Can't do any better than that with the dead. Although I'm still looking to add George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Elgin Baylor. Anyway, besides our starting five here, we have a great show tonight. Barry White is here. So let's see if we can get enough of your love, babe. We'll be right back.